Brace yourselves. We've got a big cool down coming up for next week. Probably the coldest air of the season so far, and maybe for the whole season once we tally everything up when we get to February and March. I'm 13 News meteorologist Matt Standards. Before we get to the Arctic blast, we've got a round of some possible winter weather coming into central Indiana. So let's kind of set the scene. As we're wrapping up the week, we've had some scattered snow showers across the Great Lakes. We may continue to have some lake effect snow showers throughout the day for northern and eastern parts of Indiana, but that's getting out of here. We're watching this front. Doesn't look like much now, but a whole bunch of cold air starting in Siberia, going right down Alaska, the western coast of Canada, and is starting to get into the Pacific Northwest. This is the front that's going to drop us to single digits for highs, and temperatures at night maybe down to -5, maybe even close to -10 for some of us. Then plus the wind chill could be down to -20, -25. It's going to be really, really cold air. We were cold earlier this week, but I think that was just getting us prepared for what's about to come. Before this front gets here, though, and just knocks the breath out of us, we've got this little system there in West Texas. Doesn't look like much now, but here's the weather setup. This thing kind of hooks off towards Indiana, but as it's arriving, this front starts to come in too. They almost collide, and because they collide, this thing won't have a whole bunch of time to develop and drop a whole bunch of stuff on us. So we'll get a quick hitter of some wintry mix across central Indiana, and then the cold air comes in. So let's walk through what we're expecting. Here are some of the rain and snow zones Friday night and into Saturday. Remember, this is a quick hitter. We think the low pressure gets into parts of south central Illinois. You go west of the low, there's probably not going to be enough moisture to do anything. So we're pretty close to the cutoff here in Indiana. Here's what we're thinking. Friday night, 10, 11 o'clock, approaching midnight into Saturday morning, we'll get some scattered rain showers area-wide. But by about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, before we're up Saturday morning, we'll quickly make that transition from rain over to a wintry mix. And here's roughly where we're thinking that kind of sets up. You get north of Indianapolis, we've got a good chance of a burst of some light snow there from Muncie and to Westfield, Carmel, Fishers, Zionsville, westbound to Lafayette, Kokomo, Marion, and Tipton, even up towards Fort Wayne. Closer to the Highway 40 or I-70 corridor, we'll start to run into a little bit more of a wintry mix. Here's the good news, though. We're not expecting ice. This is mainly a cleaner transition from rain to snow as temperatures drop just a little bit. But in this pink zone, honestly, we're trying to figure out where we think that rain-snow line will be. We think it's going to be kind of sharp, too. Will it be, farther south towards Shelbyville or Columbus, or maybe even Bedford and Seymour? We'll have to see. But that's why we have this general kind of wide pink zone where we'll have some snow showers and some rain showers. You get north of the pink, it's probably more consistently some snow there for a few hours Saturday morning. Farther south, though, I think we'll probably just stay with some rainfall. I'm not sure if we'll cool down enough to switch over to some snow. Once you get south of Scottsburg, you get into Henryville, and then Clarksville, New Albany, Jeffersonville, some of those suburbs right across the river from Louisville, and then down south towards Evansville, probably just rainfall for us. As we get closer, we'll take this pink zone, we'll move it, and we'll also probably shrink it just a little bit over time once we get a little bit more confidence on the exact temperature as we try to fall throughout the very early morning hours on your Saturday. So wintry mix is on the way. And depending on the timing of when we can switch from rain to that mix of some wintry mix and snow, will determine how much snowfall we get. The faster we can transition over to snow, you may get a couple inches of snow, especially north and east of Indianapolis. If it takes us longer and we only get an hour or two of snow on the back end, accumulation is going to be tough. We just kind of put water down everywhere, and it will actively be getting colder. There could be refreezing, but snowfall per se, that would be a little bit tough. But here's what you need to know so far. We do think it's going to turn slick Saturday morning. Whether or not, it's all snow or if it's just refreezing, we're still working on that. But we do think there'll be some light accumulation, especially kind of Indianapolis to the north and to the east. But the general timing is starting right around Friday, 11 o'clock. Now, at first, it's just rain. This is kind of the timing for the whole storm system. By about Saturday, 1 o'clock, most of this is out of here. But from 11 p.m. to about 3 a.m., it's just rain. But from 3 a.m. to about lunchtime. So most of the morning on Saturday is when we start dealing with a little bit of wintry weather. I'm going to show you Futuretrack 13. Clouds will be increasing throughout the day on your Friday, especially in the afternoon. But here's the latest. You get to midnight, early Saturday morning, scattered rain fills in. A little bit of snow mixing off to the north where they are already cold enough. We won't be quite cold enough at first, but maybe by about 3, 4 o'clock, we will be. We'll have to see. Once again, if there's an hour or two difference, that's going to drastically change, how much snow we're getting and how much can try to accumulate. But we do think we'll get some pockets of snow there by 3 o'clock. We move to 5 a.m. Here's the other thing. System starts to push out. This is a quick hitter, guys. Because of that other front we were talking about, the one that brings the whole Arctic blast, is on the way to try to push this thing out of here before it really does too much damage to Indiana. So that's some good news. But depending on the timing, we may still have a burst of snow showers from Indianapolis to the north and to the east for the rest of the morning. Could be a little bit heavy at times there in eastern Indiana. And we think that rain-snow line will be somewhere near Indianapolis, east to Richmond, maybe a little bit farther south, Brookville Lake, Rushville, and Shelbyville. All right, here's 7 o'clock in the morning. This is getting lighter. The moisture starts putting out. If you look at this closely, these clouds start dropping off because there's the front right there, bringing that Arctic air in. So it's already trying to push this system out of here. So we'll be watching some of this snow for a little bit longer in the morning. Now, if the front comes in later, we'll get more precipitation. We won't be squeezed out too quickly. If it comes in faster, the system will be even more quick hitting, which means you're very limited in your time windows of how much maybe rain or snow you would pick up. Here's 9 o'clock, wrapping up some of the in eastern Indiana, and then we should be mostly done. However, there will be some lake effect clouds trying to build, and I wouldn't be surprised if for a few days we're getting some snow showers. All right, here's roughly what we're thinking. And remember, timing can change a lot of things here, but kind of going the middle of the road path here, best chances for some brief accumulation will be in northern Indiana, northeastern Indiana, parts of central Indiana. Once you get south of Greenwood, south of Franklin, south of Bargersville, I'm not sure if we'll have enough time for snow to really get much accumulation. I wouldn't be surprised if on the back end we got some flurries, but it may be tougher to stick. Now, could these shift? For sure. We're going to have updates as we get closer to your late Friday night, early Saturday morning. This royal blue color, this medium blue color, there's going to be folks that get a dusting, and there are some folks that could get closer to an inch. That does include Richmond, westbound to Connorsville and Rushville, Greenfield, Newcastle, we're kind of on the edge. You get to Brownsburg, Avon, some of the western suburbs. Most of Marion County is that dusting to 1 inch. Now we have the bigger zone to the east and northeast. The reason why? Well, we think we start switching over faster because we're farther north. We could get colder. And because we are on the eastern side of the state, we may have a longer time window of some of the snow showers. So there could be maybe an inch or two. Once again, this is not a winter storm for us, but it's something that could cause a lot of slick spots Saturday morning. And here's the thing too, as we've got much colder air coming in for the rest of the weekend and into next week, coldest air of the season, anything that's put down will be trying to refreeze and could be tough and could be slick. So watch out for Saturday morning for some of these slick spots, but maybe an inch or so. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a 2.5 incher or 3 incher, in some of these spots too, but Newcastle, Muncie. And then once you get out of some of the northern suburbs of Indianapolis and really some of the exurbs, they sometimes call them, Noblesville, Westfield, Cicero, there towards Anderson, Pendleton, and really into Kokomo, Tipton, Peru, Fort Wayne, we're kind of in that 1 to 2. Here's a closer look at home. Indianapolis, we generally think there's going to be a dusting. Maybe some of us get closer to a 1/2 inch. Maybe some of us could get an inch. But these could quickly expand if we can get colder faster and we get a few more hours of some of that snow and maybe not so much rain at the beginning part. Now, if we get too much rain at the beginning part and we have a harder time shifting to snow, these will start to shrink. But this is kind of a middle road path of what we're expecting heading into your weekend. Here's your 7-day forecast. We've got much colder air on the way coming up for next week. It's just hard to look at some of those temperatures. It feels like we're missing some digits, but single digits Monday and Tuesday for highs with temperatures below 0 for many of those mornings. And then if you look closely, some of that text we put on there, down to maybe -20 in some spots. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a -22 or -23 in a few spots too with some of that wind chill. Coldest air of the season for MLK Day. It's also Inauguration Day there in Washington, D.C. They're going to be cold as well, but we will be colder here at home. Plus, the only other thing we got to mention is that after we get some of the snow north and rain south, there may be some lake effect snow showers that kind of linger into Sunday and maybe even a little bit Monday too. That's something that we'll watch. It probably won't add too much to the snow measuring stick, but maybe up towards Michiana, towards South Bend, there will be a little bit more. But for central Indiana, just some flurries will linger. It's Saturday morning that we'll have to watch for maybe some wintry mix, not a major winter storm, but possibly rain changing over to snow. The good news is no ice, no sleet, just a simple transition. We'll see how much we get.